Welcome to Tecversity. This is Venkatesh Natraj. If you haven't subscribed to Tecversity yet, please do subscribe. Today I'm going to talk about passwordless authentication. By default, passwords are our primary mode of authentication, be it our emails, be it our phones, or even our net banking. Passwords are primary for authentication. Over the period, the password has been evolved and we see biometrics, facial recognition, and even voice commands came into existence. So today in this video, I'm going to talk about the latest advancement in the technology, how we are moving towards the passwordless authentication. With no delay, let's get into the details. And before that, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe and share this video with your friends and family. Let's delve into the details. So let's understand the authentication beyond the password. Ever since 1960s, the early days of computer, where in 1960s the people generally have limited computers. I don't think even the personal computing was not even a dream at that time. So the passwords are very much limited. Not just a password, the computers were very much limited, and there are some set of data which is very sensitive, which should not be accessible to everyone, only for certain users who are using that computer. So to protect those files, that's when the passwords came in existence, and they have enforced the password on those files. So only people who knows the password, they can access the files. Later on, as the days go on, there was internet boom sometime in 1990s in some places on earth, and ever since 2000, I remember Y2K, the actual internet boom has come, and people started using their mail addresses, the emails, as the primary mode of communication, and the chatbots. So that's when the password has become more popular, and people used to give easy to crack passwords. So like their first name or their last name or their nickname or dad's name or mother's name or their date of birth or their favorite color. So these were the kind of passwords they use, and it was very easy to crack. And then the companies started to enforce the complexity on the passwords, where the end user should make sure to have one capital letter, one small letter, a number, and kind of a special character, either an ampersand or a dollar or an exclamation mark or a star into their passwords. So that's how the complexity has come in picture, and this reason is to have more secure passwords. And later on, I see the computers enforced more number of characters. They specifically mentioned that the password should be 8 characters or 10 characters or 12 characters. And after that, to address the complexities, even the password generators came in picture, where people will generate the passwords with using a password generator. They don't even remember that. They will store it on their phones or on their machines, and the password will be encrypted, and it will look just like a star, dots or star. So that's how the password complexity, the advancement in the password over the period. So let's understand the passwordless authentication. Most likely we are moving away from passwords, though the underlying approach or the underlying authentication still happens over the password, but the approach, the way we authenticate the system has going to change, and it has changed. So let's try to understand. So the passwordless authentication, if you understand the recent times, the kind of smartphones that we are using, we generally save the passwords. The moment we enter, it will ask the phone will prompt us to save the password, and the next time when we enter the username, it will ask for the biometric, or it will ask for the facial recognition, and then it will automatically populate the username and the passwords. Even in that case, the password is not visible. It is in the other form. It is either in the star or a dot form. But the password is stored on that particular smartphone or on that device. So what exactly happening here is the password authentication. The password is kind of a passkey. Whatever we use is converting into a cryptographic keys and stored on the device, and it will be decrypted only by the authentication, either by your fingerprint or the pattern or the phone password or by the facial recognition. That's the one way of passwordless authentication that we are currently using on our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day lives. And The next one is the multi-factor authentication, which is also known as a two-factor authentication. That was the old name. So MFA, what exactly does is it add an additional layer on the password. So once we enter the password, it will not directly give us an opportunity to log in. In the second screen, it will ask for either an OTP, it will generate immediately and trigger to our phones, or there is a authenticator app where we have already configured it, and it will generate a code every 30 seconds or 60 seconds. Unless we authenticate the second stage or the second step with that number or with that code, it will not allow us. So this will save a lot, because even though if we accidentally, if someone accidentally crack our password, the OTP option or the authenticator app, whichever we are using, they cannot crack it, and it will be a hurdle for them to cross it. So this is the best way of having an additional layer for other authentication. And the third one is like a biometric authentication. Nowadays, even Aadhaar card, we have to give the authentication by blinking our eyes, or it will do a facial recognition, or we have to ensure by giving our fingerprints. And 99% of the smartphones that we are currently using have the biometric authentication, facial recognition, along with the regular password entry, the pattern that we use on the smartphones. So this will give a unique authentication thing, because no one, even though people know the password, they cannot do it, because the authentication, the biometrics are unique for every individual. So this is actually one way of replacing the password. Again, like I mentioned, the password is underlying, however the way we authenticate, we are moving towards the passwordless. And the next one is much interesting, is behavioral biometrics. There are chances that someone can steal your password, or someone can threaten you to get your biometrics by to authenticate the phone. But the behavioral biometrics is a way it will try to understand the pattern. It is not just learning by one day or 2 days. Over the period, how the user is authenticating, what a kind of speed that user is entering the password, it will try to understand the strokes and the pattern and the rhythm. So that cannot be copied. It will identify the way the user or the end user behaves with the PC or with the computer or with the smartphone. So behavioral biometric is very less popular, but it is going to be the next big thing happening in the next future. And the last one is about the adaptive and zero trust authentication. The name itself says zero trust. That means it's not trusting it. So in case if there are if the system predicts that this a particular logon or a particular login seems to be unethical, or if it thinks it is somewhere vulnerable or risky, then the system will ask the user to authenticate. For example, if a user who is in Hyderabad regularly and suddenly there is a login from Europe or from Australia, then definitely the system won't allow them, because it thinks that particular login seems to be vulnerable, and it will try to enter the password. So it's the highly risk scenarios. The system will identify whether is this a genuine login or is this a fishy. So these are the kind of password authentications that we are currently in the current system, in the current generation. But I see there is a potential growth in this arena, and in the next few years we see a drastic changes in the way we approach or in the way we update the passwords. Hope this information is useful. So make sure you subscribe to tecversity, and if you have not yet, and please share this video with your friends and family. Happy learning. Have a good day.